Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is 4x4. I am here with Turk for some AEL action in the Chemtech division this time around, as we've got Clown Gaming Fiesta taking on FB Capedogs in a best-of-3. Should be a good one. Two teams coming off opposite results. Turk, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. I know last week that we had the season open there was an absolute banger. We weren't sure if Conduit was going to be able to pull it off, but they ended up pulling off the reverse sweep. So that was a great series to watch. I'm looking forward to week 2 here, and we actually had a bit of a reschedule there because another team or two teams ended up rescheduling. So now we get a chance to cast another Clown Gaming team, which is pretty spicy. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm feeling good myself for sure.
Yeah, and this should be a good one. We like you said, you're getting a look at the Clown Gaming Fiesta roster right here.
Yep.
Punkurus, excuse me. Discrepancy, Mockingbird, Maddie, and Gunny Thick. Fantastic support name, by the way. I'm all in favor of that. And what we saw in the first couple games, as we look at the Capedog rosters first, though, Tigsy, Daze, Thorn, Sheba the Dog, and Sirius for Y. Starting off with Clown Gaming, though, they 2-0'd their opponents in week 1, and it was off the back of jungle and AD carry. They put their bottom lane on a kill lane, and the way they snowballed it was tremendous.
Yeah, they did a great job, and you and I were talking a bit about that before the stream actually started. It really looked like it was off the back of, as you mentioned, Discrepancy, the jungler, did a really good job on both Volibear and Amumu, and of course Maddie and Gunny in that bot lane where they absolutely just rolled face. So did a great job. I think the first game they played Lucian Nami, if I'm not mistaken, and he popped off there, and then they indexed into a more heavy engaged style, which was Kaisa Rel, and they piloted that excellently too. So coming off a really hot week 1, it'll be exciting to see how they handle week 2 here and see if we get any variations in the champs, and that's probably a good segue into Capedogs as we talk about their draft, which is pretty spicy from last week too, right? We saw three J4s for Y.
Yeah. No, I mean, and note on that best of 3, Capedogs, their opponents lost 2 bans for 3 games in a row.
Yep.
So I for one would be very, very surprised if the J4 gets let through. But it's clear that this team has a number of different options they can kind of go at you with. They did lose game 1, but they went after it in games 2 and 3. But they ran essentially the same composition. So that's kind of what you're wondering from Capedogs is, are you going to get a different look, and how much will Clown Gaming, index into denying them that tried and true comp?
That's exactly it, right? Even though we talked about the J4, we also saw the Aurora all 3 games last week. And that was actually flexed from top, where Daze played it 2 games, and then of course we had it once with Thorn piloting it too. So the first ban we see the Seraphine, I'm not too surprised about that. Seraphine tends to be just a really free scaling champion. It can really facilitate the rest of the team too. So if you want to play through like a heavy strong jungle or a heavy topside bruise or anything like that, it can really kind of snowball that champion that much more. But of course we're going to see from FBC, we're going to actually get that Nami ban, which kind of sort of is a double ban in and of itself. So decent responses here, and then we're going to get the Yone right after that.
Yeah, big 2 birds, 1 stone angle there. Yep. Yeah, you take that away. Lucian, not quite. I mean, look, with the flexibility that Clown Gaming have shown, right? You can pilot Aurora in 2 roles. Maybe you could pilot the, and the Seraphine is a triple flex effectively. So that's not to say that they couldn't maybe take the Lucian in another way, right? But taking that away for them, but taking away really the solo lane powers, and with the way the bans have gone for Clown Gaming, I wouldn't be surprised if their 3rd ban is just that Aurora, right? They say, look, the Jarvan will let that through, because Jarvan, at the end of the day, right, sometimes it's only as strong as the laners you pair it with, right? Like the Jarvan is going to be the reason you win it out in the late game, right? So I think if I'm Clown Gaming, I'm throwing down the gauntlet and I'm saying, all right, fine, we'll let you through with the Jarvan. I don't think you can carry as hard on other champions though.
Yeah, and it seems like right there you can actually see their last ban actually comes out, and it's just the Ashe. They target a lot of that early game strength, and obviously that pick position too. You also got to keep in mind the Hawkshot. Hawkshot tends to be pretty annoying, especially in competitive. If you're tracking the enemy jungler, you know exactly where they are pretty much throughout the entirety of the early to mid game. Makes it really difficult. In FBC, they target jungler and they target bot lane. So 1 bot lane ban, 2 jungler bans. And technically, the Zac is a bit of a flex, but really it looks like they're hitting pretty hard on Discrepancy, and I think that's actually locked in if I'm not mistaken. So that B1 is going to be the Syndra. I saw this last night too on the other stream that I ended up casting. So the Syndra's really rising high in priority. Good response, usually what you'll see is just control mage for control mage. Something like an Orianna usually gets paired into that. The Yone is banned, and usually the Yone does pretty well too. So it looks like the hover from the Ziggs is coming in. I believe that's locked in too, and that's actually a flex right there. So maybe you send it into the Syndra, maybe you keep it for the bot lane, and lots of options.
I think some of that will be determined by how the rest of that draft shakes out. But yeah, that Syndra has really been rising up in priority. Orianna seems to be more attached with Nocturne than anything at really high levels of play. But that's, you know, a matchup kind of as old as the game itself. Wukong going to be locked in here on the other side here. So, you know, the J4 is still an option here for Clown Gaming.
Yeah, it definitely is right now. You can already see FB, like Capedogs, they've actually drafted just based off their R1 and R2. And of course, you can index away from this, but it tends to be a really heavy dive comp. So Ziggs is fantastic for that follow-up. You always have that ult to be able to really pull trigger with the rest of your team. So that R1, R2 to me sends heavy vibes for that dive. And of course, if you're going to get that Poppy, what champion does that better to counter that than of course that champion right then and there. So that's a great answer so far.
Yeah, they are just nipping that one in the bud. They say, no, you're not going to draft, you know, Galio, Kaisa on top of that, but Bel'Veth, thank you, yeah. Other Void champion. Everyone ran through my head except for Bel'Veth. It's been a brick since I have seen a Bel'Veth, but going with a hard carry style jungler here. Whereas, you know, Capedogs, they ran, you know, a little less carry style, right? They ran the Jarvan 3 games in a row. But for Clown Gaming, right? For discrepancy, it was the Amumu, it was the Volibear. And like you said, you know, on the Volibear, a 14 kill game. On the Amumu, a 5 kill game, but a really good hard carry, you know, like a facilitator performance there. This is much more hard carry, but you've seen that discrepancy can do it kind of both ways, right? Especially with a high powered bottom lane.
Yeah, 100% too. And that Bel'Veth, really strong level 1, and the Wukong, of course, doesn't have that. So seeing something like an invade on the Raptors level 1 is something that might end up coming out, and that Poppy's still a bit of a flex here. So I mean, if I was Clown, you have lots of options, but you can just throw that Poppy right into that Jax, and he could have a lot of trouble already right away with this phase 1. So Clown has a lot of options too, and they have a lot of early game agency, and of course they have that scaling with that Syndra, so their phase 1 is quite nice. And then FBC, you can see, of course, we've already talked about that R1, R2 tends to say that they're going a lot for more of a dive comp, but of course if they draft that Jax, it's going to give them strong side lane too. So good phase 1s for both teams, and of course we are going to see that Aurora ban coming through now 4Y.
Yeah, that's coming through. The Yone already off the table, like you mentioned, Seraphine and Ashe as well. So we'll see kind of, I mean, the Poppy, right, you could go into the support role as well. We'll see what that could get paired up with, right? But, I mean, with the Fiora and the Mordekaiser being taken away, do you read that more as, okay, you are cushioning the Poppy, or you are preparing for something specific here for Clown Gaming? Because to me, it reads a little more like the latter.
Yeah, it's tough to say, right? When you see those two solo lane bans, you almost assume that Poppy, at least from FB Capedogs, for my interpretation of it is that they assume that Poppy's probably going bot lane. So if they're willing to throw out a couple of those bans, those are just difficult matchups for Jax in that side lane. So to me, that already says that they want to play heavy through that Jax in those side lanes, apply a lot of pressure. Don't be surprised if you see some Void Grubs being contested early on, something like that, where you can really start to get that Jax that much more ahead, start playing for those plates, and then obviously those tier 2s, tier 3s later on down the road. And we are going to see that Talia. We saw Talia last week there 4Y, and I can't remember who piloted it, and forgive me, I apologize, but they did a fantastic job there playing through mid, getting the priority that they were able to get, and then actually swinging to side lanes. So a lot of side lane threat here coming in from FBC so far.
Yeah, well, and then they can have, I mean, and I think part of that is, like you said, a couple bad matchups for Jax maybe, but then, you know, you were throwing down the gauntlet to say, okay, you've got to match us with something else in the side lane, because Jax going to be a side lane terror as the game goes on. And Dr. Mundo is going to be at least an answer in the lane, if nothing else. I have a hard time saying he's going to match up exactly with it in a side lane, but he's going to absorb a lot of pressure, if nothing else. And then the Ezreal finally locked in here, so it will be, Mundo top lane and Ezreal Poppy in the bottom lane.
Yeah, it will be for sure. And that Ezreal to me says that they're willing to just handshake this bot side. And basically to me right away, what I see is like this bot side is now weak side. Like Ziggs is going to be able to clear waves. Really any sort of a threat on a dive, stacking waves into a Ziggs is almost going to be nullified just based off the wave clear that he has. So by picking the Ezreal, that's also a safe bot lane. So like I said, you handshake that, which means that both supports now have some agency to be able to roam. And of course, FBC does save their last pick for support, and if they actually do lock the rocket, which it looks like it's going to be, that's something that I didn't expect. I thought for sure that they would pilot for more of a heavy engaged support, something that can roam away from that Ziggs, which is what traditionally you'll see, but what do I know?
No, I mean, I was going to say the exact same thing. So, yeah, what do I know? I thought you were going to get a Leona, a Nautilus, or a Khan, something like that, right? Like you said, almost, and just matching Poppy, because Poppy's not there for, I mean, you know, a kill lane necessarily, right? Like you said, especially into a Ziggs and paired with an Ezreal, right? None of that screams, I'm going to stay in the lane and help get this Ezreal ahead, right? If anything, right, it's the Syndra Belveth for me, right? That is where the money's going to be made in the early and mid game. If Ezreal can run into a couple kills, great, happy days. You get that tier charged up a little faster, right? You hit your Triforce spike a little bit faster. But with discrepancy, especially with the way that he's been playing these sorts of champions, right, I'm expecting a lot more from the mid jungle.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, just to go back to that Soraka pick too, like usually when you do see something like a Taliyah coming through, like you want guaranteed lockdown. You want follow-up with that Taliyah, with that Wukong, and with that R5 Soraka, you're going to be strong in lane, don't get me wrong. Like you're going to be able to pilot that pretty well into that Poppy. But as time goes on, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of priorities shifting from Clown Gaming. If they're able to get out of that bot lane, send their Poppy to other lanes, impact the rest of the map, play around that Belveth, which is going to be the real hallmark, I think, for this game one here in this series. You're going to really see how Clown Gaming is actually able to play to some of their side lanes, when originally I thought, and I think you thought as well, that Capedogs are going to be piloting really hard around those sides. So the support pick to me seems a little out of character, but with that being said, what engaged support do you really want to pick into the Poppy? And I think that B2 that coming through from that Clown Gaming is a great job. Like normally to me I'd say something like a Braum, but a Braum doesn't really do what you need him to do in this. You need an engage, right? So what are you going to pick? The Rel? Well, Rel kind of gets countered. Are you going to pick the Nautilus? Well, Nautilus gets countered, right? So you have to kind of figure out how you want to balance that out. And the answer for Capedogs is, of course, going to be that Soraka. So we'll see how that ends up playing out in this game one.
So is it like you're almost like opting out of that? You're saying, look, there's nothing really that I can take into this Poppy, so we're going to play a completely different style altogether.
That's how I look at it. Yeah. I'm not implying that Capedogs is looking at that, but from my point of view, that's how I'd be looking at it. Yeah, I would be saying, what engaged support can I play? Oh, I don't like this one, I don't like that one, and I don't like that one. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to pilot into more of an enchanter role, something that you don't need to worry about getting canceled with the dashes or anything like that, and you're going to play more for lane. Now don't be surprised, the Soraka could still roam. It's not like she can't by any means, but just the impact that roam comes through with the Soraka, it won't be as valuable as, of course, a melee support that has that CC.
Yep. With the Wukong, right, you should have decent engage, decent follow-up, and again, looking at the Taliyah to be able to affect those side lanes, affect those other lanes, shove and roam into the Syndra, and Syndra with a lot of course, upfront burst, and it's pretty good all-in potential there to facilitate discrepancy. I think that's going to do it for us for now. We're going to take it to a quick break. When we come back, a game one on the cards, game one of hopefully three as we get into this best of three, the Chemtech division kicking off with both teams trying to, one team trying to move to 2-0 in Clown Gaming, but then the Capedogs trying to pick up their first win of the season when we come back.
See you soon.
Quick shout out to ProComps, our sponsor and a game changer app for the League community. This isn't just like the other tools. It's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair it with any other app you use. ProComps stands out with features like custom champion pools, personalized tier lists, and live draft advice. Think of it as having a virtual coach and a strategy toolkit all in one. They offer real-time champion band recommendations. They already have over 200,000 downloads and thousands of daily users just like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It is a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the panel below on our stream.
Those cravers backstab me, deceive me, never shall I tolerate their crimes again. Now let the hunt begin. Yeah, 7,000 souls scared and daunted, such a tale of woe. Not too long ago, this village was a golden scene of hope. Hold down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Yeah, bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer. Yeah. I am
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. Diving into game one, Clown Gaming at 1-0 versus the Capedogs at 0-1. Trying to get their season back on track, after a tough 2-1, 2-0 loss. On Clown Gaming taking a 2-1 win over the MSU C team. I am 4x4. I'm not Turk. Something should be better in my life if I was Turk, but I'm not, and that's okay. I'm 4x4. That is Turk, and we are into this best of 3 action in the Chemtech division. Big shout out to you guys watching and listening at home. Hopefully you like what you hear. You're stuck with us for 3 games. Big thank you to Karthik, our producer. So yeah, actually I was gonna make a joke there that I shouldn't have, so I didn't. Turk. We talked a lot about the Soraka pick. It came through R5, and it is not, I don't think it's gonna, I don't think it's gonna be what makes or breaks this draft. If everything goes pear-shaped for Capedogs, why does it go pear-shaped for Capedogs?
Well, if it does, what you want to see is you want to see a lot of priority being put through that bot side. Of course, when you have that double range, especially with that Ziggs too, like Ziggs just in general has that wave clear, so if you have that wave clear, chances are you're going to have that priority, so you can start playing for plates. And of course, with that satchel charge, you can take that turret that much sooner. So if you're able to play through that 2v2, actually start to really accelerate things by getting that much gold through those plates, through the minion advantages, everything else in between then and there. So that 2v2, if you're able to really pilot that through and then actually start to accelerate the rest of the game through there, that's when that can work out. But if not, then you might end up seeing the inverse coming through, where if you're trying to play to that bot side and you're not gaining any advantages, of course that gives the option for Gunny on this Poppy, who did take Halo Blades, just for the record, which I love. Very spicy. Absolutely. Gives lots of options for that Poppy to be able to roam and impact the rest of the map, and that's where things can get a little tricky. Yeah,
be an adult. Take Halo Blades. Come on. If you're gonna play some Poppy, yeah, be an adult. Grow up. Take Halo Blades. And we'll see also when this Poppy, if she does decide to leave, when and how, right? And when and how Series 4Y on the Soraka is going to match it, right? Because like you and I were talking about, we expected something a little more like a Leona, Rakan, Nautilus, right? Something to match the roams and start up fights that way. Gunny Thick, though, immediately upon hitting level 2, able to hop up and create a little bit of pressure. But with all that range, Dash Money not feeling the heat whatsoever. Maddie starting with the tier there, and as an Ezreal, right? Once you hit level 3 or whatever level you want to put a point into that arcane shift, I think that's probably fair enough.
Yeah, if you're taking that tier, they can kind of tell you, oh, never mind, we'll talk about that later.
Gunny Thick going immediately there on a Dash Money, and that's the benefit of having a pocket Soraka. Didn't have to blow the heal, no summoners, no nothing. It looked a little spicy there, but those cooldowns are long, right? That's the downside of having that health pack as a buddy in the support role.
100%. What I was going to say before that happened, which is a beautiful trade there coming from Gunny and Maddie, is usually when you do see that tier, obviously you're looking for that scaling coming through. Taking the Thorns Blade tends to say that you want to play for more trades and whatnot, but of course if you're able to find things like this right here where more trades come through, the extended trades get a little tricky for you. But if you're able to walk out unscathed, which is basically that instance right there, then you actually end up getting the priority in this lane now. So originally when you draft that 2v2 bot side and you have double range, of course you want to get that advantage early on with the minions. Having the minion wave priority, of course, gives you the priority in general in that lane. That's when you can set up for something like a 3-wave crash, take your cheater recall if that's something that you want to do. Still have that TP on the Ziggs, but of course if you're on the back foot, that's where things get a little more tricky, because Maddie and Gunny can now do that exact same thing.
Actually able to grab, yep, like you said, a glowing moat and a sword. He's going to come back with a little bit more combat power, right? That tier is a means to an end. So definitely able to trade a little bit better. And you see, like Gunny Thick, I mean, with the Halo Blades, with the Ignite, right? You are going for blood. As Daze able to walk up here in the top lane. Not sure how much they're going to get done here onto Punkiris. With double Doran Shield actually for both of these top laners in this matchup. Yeah, for Punkiris, if you can hold this wave in a decent spot here, which it looks like you're going to be able to. On the other side, Discrepancy. He's the man that we are watching to be able to pilot this Bel'Veth, right? A very good carry performance on the Volibear in game 1 of last week's series. Piloted the Amumu as well to a 2-0. But it was Maddie that took the reins in the late game. But Discrepancy is playing, I mean, serving as a bridge in those other games. But Bel'Veth, I mean, look, you have Ezreal for consistent damage in the late game. But Bel'Veth isn't a bridge. She's the whole dang. She is both shore. She is the river as well as the bridge. She is everything.
Yeah, you want to funnel as much resources into that Bel'Veth as you possibly can, and already you can see Discrepancy getting that edge right away with that double scuttle grab coming through, right? He nets a top, and he swings bot and gets that too, so he's already up a little bit of CS right now, sitting about 3 camp lead. By the time that he finishes his Krugs here, he's going to be able to take his reset, spend the gold that he does have, so he's off to a great start here. Really good start for that Belveth, and that's what you need to see. As time goes on here, it's really like that we were talking about, that's kind of like the herring in this team comp, like can the Belveth get accelerated? You need the resources to be able to do that. You need those items, so this is a good start for you, right? That first back, we're going to see the Vamp Sep. We're also going to see the Dagger coming through here, so pretty healthy start here for Clown, and FBC too, by all means. Like, you really want to wait for about that 8-minute timer when everybody does have those ultimates. That's where you can start to force things on your own accord too, but Mockingbird equally so, right? We see back and forth this trading coming through, and it really is a jockey for priority in this lane, whoever is able to get that. Obviously does have that advantage, and of course if Thorn on that Talia does get that, then those side lanes can be impacted that much more. So pretty standard early game, I'd say, so far from both sides here. Not really favoring anybody. Gold's quite even, so you're really just waiting for that catalyst, something to break, and you wonder where that's going to be.
Yeah, and where my brain went was, okay, well, it's going to be that level 6 for the Talia, right? Because that can be where you really, really start to get things going. But being down teleport, you're chained a little bit to the wave. But now with Mockingbird having burned their TP, now the matchup is a little bit more even. And then Serious for Y actually took a recall and then went right over to Void Grubs. Gunny Thick smelled something in the water, said, hang on a second, this Ezreal, or this Tiggs rather, has been alone for far too long. Immediately getting on discrepancy, blowing the flash as well. First blood over to Tiggsy. That is massive. Weaver's Wall going out, actually separating Gunny Thick from Mockingbird, is going to be left to the wolves. Beautiful seismic shove as well from Thorn. Actually, Gunny Thick might be able to get out here. Doesn't have flash. Nope. Once Daze blows the flash, it's over. Just a matter of time before another kill is picked up by the Capedogs. But it took a little bit more than I thought, though. A lot of flashes blown, but a 2-0 lead given up here, and the 3 Void Grubs.
Yeah, that's just a good rotation there coming in from Capedog, right? They get out of the map sooner. They're able to set up for those Void Grubs. They play for it. And more importantly than anything, you actually see Tiggsy off the priority that he had in that wave. Lots of trading coming through bot. Lots of trading. No. Honky Riz. He actually ended up stealing one of those Void Grubs. Not the end of the world, but that's pretty cheeky, you know? Give it to the band. Like, kudos to that. And they're still piloting here for more.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I spoke far too soon. I assumed that was going to be just taken. He actually got the second one. Yeah, Daze without level 6. You know who did have level 6? The entire top side of Clown Gaming. So a really big power spike that I didn't account for. But the Clown Gaming certainly able to press on, and credit to them.
And that's all off that topside wave. Tiggsy, he ends up getting down there, setting up the Void Grubs, playing really well around the vision to find that pick on discrepancy first because of the priority that he had in that wave. But of course, after that, he has to catch the wave that's swinging into his turret. And at that point right there, he heads towards topside. Daze is still on those Void Grubs. And Punkiris, I apologize. We'll figure it out very soon. Just blame me in the chat by all means. He now has the time to swing in there, play for those Void Grubs, and steals not one, but 2 of them.
Now it puts a lot of pressure on the Capedogs to figure this out, because we talked about it. Like, Tiggsy, his game plan, especially with this first kill, it does cushion the blow a little bit. But those Void Grubs are going to make his job so much easier and just open up the map to a crazy degree for Capedogs should they get to a favorable state in the late game. And having those Void Grubs, right, it's not 5 like it used to be. It's still just 4, right? So you don't need as much. But that essentially ensures that you can bet your top, bottom, and middle dollars that Capedogs are going to be at the top, at the Grub Pit in just a couple minutes' time.
100%, and you're going to see that for sure.
No.
Really cheeky stop there.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Dash Money with money. Absolutely living up to his namesake. Satchel charges there. But Gummy Thick got a penchant for not exactly dying the way that I think they're going to. And actually held on to the flash as well. Maddie TP's back into lane, so pressure still held. And Maddie should be able to soak up the majority of, if not all, of this wave. Nothing doing here much in the mid lane, though. Thorn did get that first kill, right? But that's what you expect, right? You're not expecting, I mean, the all-in here from the Talia. You're expecting the all-in from Syndra, if anything, in terms of this 1v1.
Yeah, 100%. You're really waiting for Daze to pilot that Wukong, swing around that mid side, and then actually play for that 2v2 or that 2v1, that jungle gank. And of course, in that isolation, even for now, Syndra should have that outrange advantage. So if you're able to, just bit by bit, you'll be able to. Those seismic shoves continue to land there from Thorn. You're going to see a lot of pressure actually being applied there. Tiggsy could be in some trouble.
Yeah, Punkiris might be the sacrificial lamb. You know what? If you are Tiggsy, or if you're Tiggsy, you'll take that. You get away with a 1-for-1, but discrepancy crucially getting their first kill of the game here, getting a little bit of momentum rolling here. But what do you think is the bigger thing there? This discrepancy finally getting the ball rolling, or Tiggsy getting yet another kill and accelerating that late game?
I think you really got to look at those wave states now. That wave's coming back into Tigsy off of that, so I think at the end of the day, he's definitely the winner there. If you're able to trade that, realistically, you shouldn't. That's really a 1v3. At the end of the day, with the amount of resources that are spent there, Gunny did roam up towards that top side, and if you're going to trade 1-for-1 in that instance, it's usually a loss, but on top of that wave too, like Tigsy's 100% happy with that. 100%. I'd definitely say it favors him, and you can see that big wave that's coming back to him. He's going to be able to catch the majority of that, catch up in that CS, of course, with that extra kill. Now he's that much more accelerated, so this Jax, even though he doesn't have those 3 Void Grubs, at the moment, with 2 of those being stolen earlier from the Mundo, still spells a lot of trouble for Clown.
Yeah, definitely cushions the blow a little bit, but again, I'm waiting for that fight to break out in less than a minute here. I think, yeah, Harold's not going to be up for another few minutes, so it will be the rest of those Void Grubs that'll be on the menu. And again, it's going to be up to Thorn to set up, right, it's Thorn and Daze to come up and facilitate that for Tigsy, because right now you can see it. He's feeling big. I mean, Punkurus, to be fair, is doing a good job of picking up his canisters there. He's not taking a ton of damage. Tigsy, meanwhile, doesn't care. Man, one more empowered auto. You think maybe you would have gotten away with that, but didn't want to risk blowing the momentum that he had. Now, Mockingbird might have Thorn a little bit of trouble here. The wish comes down from Sirius for Y. Discrepancy coming down with the above and below. Daze able to pop the cycle and buy a little bit of time, get 2 batches of CC on Discrepancy, but it matters not. Crimson Banquet goes out, and Tigsy just pops him. Able to pop the Grandmaster at arms for a little extra juice. Junglers traded 1-for-1. So no smite fights here, Turk. It is just a battle of rocks, fisticuffs, etc. But everyone backs away. No one feeling confident enough to pull the trigger on the Void Grubs.
Yeah, and that's where that next fight happened. You called it, and 100% that was going to be the play, and it was. And at the end of the day, Tigsy gets yet another kill, and it looked real close there. It almost seemed like Mockingbird was going to be able to get that 1v1 kill on Thorn, but that wish coming through from that Soraka buys that much more time. Of course, Discrepancy, as he goes in, he finds that fight on Daze, ends up getting that kill, but he will trade his life in response. So, of course, Tigsy getting that extra kill puts him on that Triforce now at 12 minutes, and that Jax is scary, my friend. Very, very scary right now.
First one to a major item. I don't count Archangels as a major item, right? It's 3/4 of an item. You're not quite there yet. But with the extra goal, oh my goodness. I mean, but Mockingbird starting to look like that Scat of the Week. It doesn't do nothing here. Daze trying to do his darndest to fend off Punkurus. And to be fair, he's doing a lot of work here. Now Tigsy showing up, and that's the message for Clown Gaming to get the heck out of Dodge with Tigsy there, like he said, with the Triforce, 3 kills and a whole lot of bravery. He's feeling large and in charge and absolutely dominated that fight. But Clown Gaming, to their credit, do get that 3rd Void Grub.
Yeah, and really, I mean, at some point, you'd almost argue they should really only have 1 right now, but they're able to steal those 2 earlier on. They burn the TP from Mockingbird on the Syndra. They are able to play for that, find that window to net that extra Void Grub. So 3-3, that's basically a nil score at this point. But again, right here, even though that goes well for them, here's their real issue now. Tigsy on this Jax, sitting at almost 4 plates, 3-1, 94 CS. While he isn't up in that CS lead right now by any means, he's looking very scary. Thorn's probably dead here. No. Beautiful.
Man,
beautiful.
Serious for why? I don't think that's not why you drafted the Soraka, but these are the kinds of things that you could pull off if you have that in your back pocket. Man, oh man.
Oof. That wish is coming in clutch now here, so that's back-to-back wishes that have definitely saved Thorn. Like Thorn right now almost I mean, if you want to play a little like theoretics game by all means, like he should almost be 1-2 right now. So that's back-to-back wishes that have kept that man alive, and they've done a really good job of that. So unfortunately, at the end of the day, even though you don't go down, you're still going to miss all this CS. Mockingbird still has that priority in that lane, so he's able to push that in. Chances are, if he wants, he could just take that reset, keep out on tempo on the rest of the map, or you can actually see him pushing into play for one of those plates right now. So Mockingbird in this isolation, this 1v1, he's doing a very good job of being able to keep this Talia at bay. We haven't seen any roams coming through from Thorn other than playing for those Void Grubs. So I think he's done a fantastic job in this matchup so far.
Well, like you said, right, there aren't really any roams going on, and if there are, Mockingbird is right there, right? He is matching everything that Thorn is throwing out. Now, Tigsy going for one more here. Punkurus blew the ultimate, but so did Tigsy, to be fair. Daze has the ultimate, has the flat. Should they want to go for the all-in here, but not going to focus on the Mundo with everyone and their mother going up to the top river. It's a party, and everyone is invited. Rift Herald is the prize this time around, though. Gummy Thick going in, flashing immediately here. Big old shield pop there by Thorn, though, but it's not enough. Gummy Thick thought they were playing on a more financially well-off Poppy, shall we say. You like the hustle, but it wasn't enough.
You know, it wasn't. It just seems a little disjointed there. They want to play for the Rift Herald, but one goes in, the other one follows in just after. But unfortunately, at that point, you don't have the rest of your team, and that 4v4 really does become a 2v4. And in that instance there, you can see Capedogs once again just doing a great job of playing for that top side, which is what we talked about. That Ziggs and that Ezreal are left to their own devices. Whatever they want to do bot side is up to them. Both piloting their champions quite well. Tigsy looking for more trades here.
Oh, the cavalry's here, baby. Serious for Y and Days show up and provide plenty of support to Tigsy. No wish necessary. Didn't even need that. Tough that it goes over. But look, Tigsy's already got 3 kills. Serious for Y. I've got to eat a little bit of crow here. I was really dubious about the Soraka, but it has proven to be something really, really special for Capedogs here.
Yeah, they've done a very fantastic job. So we knew what both teams are going for. And the Soraka in that 2v2 should, in theory, have that priority early on. But of course, even if you don't get that, if you're still willing to roam, you're still willing to impact the map, that's what you need to do. We've strong-sided our Jax extremely well here for the side of Capedogs here, and you could see it. The results are now there, right? That's the first brick being taken here. Jax is that much more accelerated, has a lot of gold to spend as we see these items coming through. I'm very curious to see what he buys. Get that tier 2 well on his way to probably that Sundered if I had to take a guess there. So
I think so too, yeah.
That man's on a mission right now, and very soon, very, very soon, once that 2 items comes through for that Jax, I don't see how anybody on Clown Gaming is going to be able to match them. So that really puts the onus on Clown Gaming to find those windows, to find those fights before the Jax ends up taking, well, all of your outer turrets and then eventually your base. So the timing is on them. The onus is on Clown Gaming right now to find those angles, to look for those picks when they need them for neutrals before Jax really does start accelerating the rest of the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You're going to have to take advantage of some lapses in judgment from Capedogs right now because they've got the TP advantage. They've got Weaver's Wall whenever they want it, right? So, well, not TP advantage. They have the teleports to be able to match if you want to try to get freaky in a side lane. Capedogs going to be able to answer very, very easily. And that was going to be my next question for you, Turk, is how on God's great earth do you deal with Tigsy in a side lane? Because, I mean, if Capedog have their wits about them, if you send 2, 3, 4 champions up to deal with him, right, as this mid-game starts to open up, then, you know, again, if Capedogs have their wits about him, you've got a Ziggs, man. You've got a Ziggs, and you've got Talia able to get across the map in the blink of an eye. They're going to take something else in your backyard.
Well, that's it, right? So the good news for you, if you are Clown Gaming, is that you do have a win con, and that's going to be through that drag. We see more of a trade mid.
Ooh, Thorn actually might get the better of this one. Got the flash out of Mockingbird. Couple more autos will do, and the threaded volley finishes it off. So the first solo kill in this mid lane, much to Mockingbird's frustration, I imagine, goes over to Thorn.
Yeah, that Sarah shield coming in clutch there too. It's extremely hard to burst a Talia when you do have all that extra, well, basically HP at that point. So if you can absorb all that damage coming through from the Syndra, very front-loaded damage. Of course, if you can, that extended trade is going to favor that Talia. And in that instance right there, off the back of those earlier fights towards that top side, you can see that item advantage coming through. Dash going to be forced to flash from there.
For why, yeah, that wish and the heal again coming down, burning right through the ignite. Not as effective, but effective enough. I don't think there was any real danger of dash money going down. And now Thorn able to get down there with the Weaver's Wall. And again, with the lead now, this is what you want to see from Thorn, right? It's one thing when the Syndra is able to match you, but now you're up a little bit of gold, right? You've shown that you can, with that Seraph Shield, with all your buttons, you can take on anything that Mockingbird's going to throw at you. So being able to set up for this dragon now, which is the one department where Cloud Gaming still have a hold on this one, up 2 dragons to 0. It will be an Infernal Soul on the line here in about 15-20 minutes. As Thorn takes a little bit of damage here, but we're getting set up for something in the bottom lane here. But again, Tigsy, he's just doing his thing in the top lane, and they have to send Punky Wrist to respond to him.
That's exactly it. Keep our eye on the mini-map right now as we see Tigsy pressuring that tier 2. He's going to get that turret. That's already gone. That's 700 gold going over the Jax. So now what do you do as Clown Gaming? Do you want to fight and force this? Looks like the TP's coming through from the Jax, so Punky needs to answer this right now. We're going to see this. 5v5 is set up.
Double TP going forward here. Tigsy going to dodge the cleaver. A lot of damage going through here. It actually looks like Gunny, or excuse me, Discrepancy might be able to go forward, but instead it's Daze that hops in with the clone, able to smite the dragon away, and Punkyverse just melts. I've never seen a Mundo disappear that quick, but the consistent damage is just too much. No wish necessary here. They take the dragon. They take 3 kills. They take your lunch money. It's all up for the Capedogs here. Just as I say that, Tigsy might get himself killed. Hang on a second here, maybe not. As the Legos go down, Maddie able to get out of the river, and Daze again will walk away here. The wishing can come back up off cooldown. You gotta rip that one, and they do a double, an unofficial ace for the Capedogs.
Oh, Mockingbird, I feel so bad for you. Oh, he burned his R on the clone. He one-shot the clone. It's so sad at the end of the day. It's just really good kiting from FBC. Like, they're able to space out the rest of that fight so well. So now, of course, they deny that dragon stacking. So 2 dragons, it's all right. But 3 dragons, that's really what you want for Clown Gaming. You don't get it there. You're going to see that denial coming through. You're going to see the tier 1 being taken off the back of a beautiful team fight. They're coming through from FBC, and kudos to them, right? We're seeing Tigsy, the amount of pressure that he's applying in those side lanes now, and I'd really like to see him shift towards that bot lane, start playing for that tier 2 at this point right now, because there's not much standing free gold left in that top side, but if you can continue to pressure and draw people away, especially from this Baron now, this 20-minute timer, it's all about top side. All of the bot side power is completely gone. There's no dragon for the next 3.5 minutes, so pressuring bot is really, I think, where Tigsy wants to be right now, but let's not take anything away from the man. He's done a fantastic job here, as has Thorn. Both solo laners from FBC have done a fantastic job here, getting through that early stage, playing really well around the strong side there, which in this instance is going to be Tigsy on that Jax, so kudos to them. They've done a really good job. It's 13-2, the score line's there. You can see 6k gold lead. Like, they're playing very well as a team right now. Very well.
And with the TPs coming back up here, Tigsy won't have his, but Dash Money and Thorn will be able to have theirs. I think Mockingbird will be the only one that would have it in time for a potential Baron fight here, as that's a big old chunk of health being taken with the hard steal by Punky. Thorn has to flash away, so now
he's gonna get ran down
there. Yeah, I think he just might. Exactly. Ghost comes down, the Legos are thrown down, and nothing happens. The Wish comes down as well, but now Punky picking up his first kill of the game. Something to watch for here. The Ghost is gone, but I was kind of thinking, right, was like, essentially getting to the back line is how you're going to win or flip these team fights, I feel like, for Clown Gaming, right? Because Tigsy and Daze are going to just, they're bruisers, right? They're not true tanks, but you have to ignore them, essentially. You have to go around them to be able to do something into this Capedogs comp.
That's right, and it's all about the lane assignments now, right? We're well past the point where all of the turret plates have fallen off. Tigsy looking for something, but it's going to get spaced there really well by that QE coming in from Syndra. But what I really want to highlight right now, Jax should be matching Mundo. You cannot have a control mage matching that Mundo. Mundo just in general has so much MR just based off his kit, let alone the items that he's building here. Obviously, right now, we don't actually see too much MR, which is actually even crazier. But you need that Jax to be matching that Mundo. Otherwise, you're just going to end up having this right here. And Tigsy looking for more.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get 1. It's just a question of whether he gets 2. Now, Daze has come up with Gunny Thick as Mockingbird goes down. Here comes the Weaver's Wall, and they thought they had something, but that's just the state that Clown Gaming are in right now. Even when they get an inch, Capedogs respond immediately. Thorn blows the TP as soon as he can, and Tigsy just too gosh darn big. He bought some time, but now with Punkurus there, it's maybe a different story, and I think that kind of tells you the power that he's going to have in this composition, right? As a tank, you provide a lot of space for the rest of your team. Baron going down here. Looks like the Capedogs are playing for a turn. Punkurus going down. There goes the Mega Inferno Bomb. Eventually, the Wish comes down as well. Maddie trying to whip out the damage from downtown, but they get separated, and the Seismic Shovel mean the death of Punkurus is serious for Y picking up his 2nd kill of the game.
Mission fails successfully there from the Mundo. Yeah. At the end of the day, you get them off the Baron. That is the main goal right there, and you definitely save the state right now. At the end of the day, you might lose your tier 2 here coming through with a 5-member stack, but Gunny's looking for something else.
Gunny is all gas, no brakes, man. I got to give this dude credit. Even when his team is getting smacked around, he is the primary initiator here, and he's certainly playing like it's here for Y actually has to flash away here as the shot barrage goes through. Discrepancy able to finally get into the back line. Thorn gets away as Dash Money able to deal enough damage to get him off of Thorn. Maddie's the only one left standing. 1 by 1, they fall like dominoes.
Yeah, we just don't see the rest of Clown Gaming getting out of the map as a unit, right? It's staggered deaths constantly, and I think we did a great job on the Mundo to get them off that Baron, but then forcing once again, looking for another fight. What it ends up doing now is it chokes yourself out. You might have had the tempo for that Dragon had you have stopped that Baron, took the reset, got back onto the map as a unit. You still had the TP on the Mundo, so that's something you could have contested, but now it feels that much harder. So you concede a lot of priority for this next Dragon here. Chances are you probably weren't going to get it anyways based off the gold lead, but now you're playing reactive, and that's not what you want to do. You want to be playing proactive. You want to draw the enemy team away from whatever neutral they're playing, so they have to come into you. And when they come into you, of course, there's going to be no vision for them. They're checking blind, and in this instance right now, you can see Clown, they're trying to react, and I'm curious to see how this next fight's going to go, because this could easily decide the game.
Yeah, it's certainly panic stations. All hands on deck as Discrepancy gets forward and immediately gets seismic shove. Thorn was waiting for him, and he might go down here with the ticks as they go forward, and Dash Money gonna pick it up with the ultimate. That is absolutely tragic. Oh, there goes that, man. I mean, because if nothing else, you were playing to swipe away this dragon, get something back. But Discrepancy, all the eggs have been in his basket, and he hasn't been able to do enough as the True Shot Barrage goes out. Second Infernal Dragon of the game goes out. So not a game-defining fight, but still a rough one for Clown.
Yeah, for sure. And now you end up conceding priority on this top side too with no jungler. So right now, Daze has the opportunity to farm a couple of his bot side camps. He'll be able to get his reset in. Now we finally see Tigsy matching this Mundo, and in this instance right now, I feel like it's completely done for Clown Gaming. There's no windows for you to find those picks in that side, especially in extended trades. In these short trades, the Mundo, you can see the amount of damage that cleaver does. But when Tigsy chooses to all in, if he finds that window, I feel like that Mundo just gets absolutely shredded. So lane assignments now are fixed by Capedogs. You have the priority in topside. You can already see a couple members moving in there with Ziggs hovering around that mid to gain priority there. They're doing a really good job of setting up for this next objective. And again, it's just reactionary from Clown Gaming, and I understand it in a game state like this. It's really difficult to find those windows. I totally get it. But you gotta try your best to find those angles, and right now, it's really difficult for you to walk in. How do you actually contest a neutral objective and get into the river with a Talia, a Ziggs, and a Wukong? So very difficult.
Yeah, a lot of zone control, right? I mean, Discrepancy found that out the hard way, right? You rock up on the docks without vision, you get seismic shoved, you get 100-0 just so fast. And now, yeah, like you said, you concede so much tempo, so much priority. Punkurus, to his credit, doing his darndest to try to get something going on the other side of the map, try to keep Tigsy busy. But even in this 4v4, right, you've got 11 kills combined between Daze and Thorn on the Wukong and the Talia. So it's plenty of threat that the Capedogs are able to dish out on the top side of the map, even without what we would say is their most impactful member. But Discrepancy just can't do enough.
At this point, definitely not. No, it's so difficult because this isn't your jungler. This isn't your jungle anymore. So you won't be able to play for any sort of vision around this. And fortunately for them, they are doing a pretty good job of being able to stall this game out there. Discrepancy takes a little bit of damage from that Ziggs, and that range really is coming through. You can see just how impactful that champion's being. So curious to see what happens game 2. Tasty though, looking for something.
And not able to get the CC down, but as Thorn shows up, maybe you can get him for a seismic shove with a flash above and below, goes down, lands on the Daze, the CC chain, 100-0. Finally, Mockingbird picks up a much-needed kill. Tigsy going forward, still putting the chase on with Thorn waiting in tow, trying to dodge that cleaver, does so successfully. But
Clown Gaming. Clown Gaming is on Baron right now. They can play for this Baron. As soon as Thorn shows bot, I love to see it. Even though you're down this much, the decisiveness, pull trigger, force a fight, find the pick on Daze, and I don't think he's expecting that. He still has his flash up, dash money, throwing that ult in, but I think this Baron's gone.
The Baron's gone. Will Discrepancy live to tell the tale in the ensuing fight? Here comes the TP from Punkurus. If he can throw up some CC, throw up, just be a meat shield, and that's exactly what he does to get his team, to get as many members wearing purple as possible to the base. Thorn doesn't like the idea of that, throws up the Weaver's Wall, but the rest of the team just isn't healthy enough to go in here, or are they? Does Tigsy decide to pull the trigger at the end of the day? No. Fantastic, decisive stuff, like you were saying, Turk, from Clown Gaming.
That plays dead. Call it off, boys. We are winning. Right now, how on earth you get a Baron in this game state? That is beyond me, but...
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's that decisiveness. They just pull trigger. They force a fight. Daze obviously wasn't expecting it. There he goes down, and as soon as he goes down, instant call for the Baron. Started up. The rest of the members from Capedogs just aren't in a position to be able to contest that, and it goes down, and it shouldn't. At that point right now, as Clown, even though you won't be able to siege the enemy base too much, it's really about buying time. This is going to give you a chance to continue to scale, get the items that you need, and now you're not playing on the back foot anymore. Now you can set the tempo of this game. Where do you want to put your resources? And how well are you able to execute on that promise? The TP comes through here.
Yeah.
Tier 1's going down for sure, but do they get engaged on here? They do.
Oh, Daze goes in. Fantastic engage. Your Discrepancy able to dash away, but is it enough? Gunny Thick trying to be a meat shield, and without Punkurus being taken up there by Thorn, it's just not enough bodies. It's not enough health to be able to run you down, but Punkurus is going to run Thorn down here. At least he's going to try. Has to flash over that wall if he wants to survive. Maybe here. 2 fights going on two different fronts here. Thorn throws up the thumbs up, and Punkurus, man, oh man, having to work hard for it. I thought Thorn was dead meat, man, but able to survive the push there by Punkurus.
You see, it's so difficult for Thorn to be able to match this. We need the Jax to reset. Tigsy is on back right now, so he is paddling. It looks like towards actually more mid. So I think they really need to send that Jax and deal with that Mundo. Thorn just can't do anything in that matchup. He needs to be grouped up with his team to be able to play off the engage that they're going to facilitate for him. But right now at this point, Clown's still doing all right. Maybe a little overzealous on the TP for a tier 1 top. It's really not going to change the game too much, but they end up getting it at the end of the day. They still get the tier 2 bot as well, so they're actually winning out on these trades constantly back and forth here. They've done a really good job, and the question is now, can you take this river control here, and can you deny the enemy team for being able to get in here? Because if you can, you've closed a lot of this gold lead now. It's basically 4K. At one point it was close to 7-8, so they've halved it quite quickly.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was another thing I was gonna bring up was like at one point the kill count was like 20-3 or some absurd thing, but the gold lead wasn't as ridiculous. Days able to stay alive here thanks to the wish that came down before the ignite, and crucially Cloud getting able to secure soul point here. Mega Inferno Bomb's gonna get onto Gunny Thick, but not before the ultimate goes out. Now Thorn in a little bit of trouble, able to get the seismic shove down, but actually gets it onto nobody. Has to flash away here. Days able to get back in with a little bit of health and provide some CC with the Cyclone, but it's a 1-for-1 trade for the two bottom laners, and Punkyverse just having his way. Mundo indeed goes exactly where he pleases. Tigsy trying to put an end to that here with the Counter-Strike, able to get in, provide the CC to shut down that Mundo.
Wow, crazy sequence there that we see. At the end of the day, Clown Gaming, they get the dragon, but there's 2 members that go down right now, and they do concede a lot of this priority towards that top side. We'll see if FBC is able to start getting set up around that, and then actually control space for this next Baron that comes up, which is going to be the next pivotal part right here. You actually see Gunny right now. He's going in. He's 1v1ing Thorn.
That is absolutely 1v1ing. That is disrespectful. That is diabolical. Gunny Thick, don't do it. Solo polo. Don't ruin it, man. Give it to him. Mockingbird able to mop it up. Look, when the Soraka got involved, that gave Mockingbird license to hop in. That is crazy. 0-5-4. A dead man's in a dream for Gunny.
He's a mad lad, man. Oh, that's awesome. He actually pulls that off there and he stalls. So, whew, that's nice to be able to get that there. So, I mean, the sequence, you make it pretty spicy. You probably get the morale victory there too right now because you're feeling pretty good at this point. You know you should have been out of this game about 10 minutes ago, and with that one Baron off that pick there earlier on today's, like, they've done a fantastic job of being able to bounce themselves back in here. But here comes the next obstacle. Now we got 1 minute and 39 seconds, so 1 minute and 30 before this Baron's up. You could see FP Capedogs doing a fantastic job controlling this topside quadrant. So how do you get back in here if you're Clown Gaming?
I mean, that's the question, right? I mean, I think it has to involve Punkyverse. What he has done to be able to just stall out some of these fights. Because you've got some squishy members on the side of Cloud Gaming. But, I mean, it seems like Tigsy, he's just been nullified. I feel like Cloud Gaming have been playing the map really, really well.
They have for sure, but FP Capedogs constantly, they need to send this Jax to match the Mundo. It makes it so difficult in this 1v1 right now, and I really do think it's just the lane designs for FBC which have slowed this game down as much as what it has. And I understand, I think Tigsy feels like he can't win in that 1v1 versus that Mundo, and fair enough, but 100% I could tell you Thorn cannot. And you want Thorn to be with the rest of your team, and that's what you need. You need to be able to play that seismic shove off the rest of the CC that team provides, and then one-shot somebody. And if you're in a side lane, you'll have to burn that TP to be able to try to find that angle, and you might not get it. So really difficult here for FB Capedogs. You see Days just looking for a bit of a trade here. Gunny doesn't care. Ask Gunny if he cares.
I mean, I know the answer. It's not necessary for me to ask. Gunny is a freaking menace, man. He fears neither man nor God. This might not be his jungle anymore, but he's certainly trying to take the territory back. And you talk about the 100-0 potential. Mockingbird, if he can land one good scout of the week, right? I mean, the CC chain is absolutely there for discrepancy to be able to burst you down. Got himself the... Oh, I'm TFT brained. Oh, the purple item. Jack Show. Thank you. Sorry. I was going to call that Adaptacom, but I couldn't. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, but you see, again, this is the exact same situation that we found ourselves in last time around. Punkyverse in the bottom lane, just keeping Thorn shoved into his base here. Now, to be fair, the line of scrimmage hasn't gone much further back than that, and now FB Capedogs, they are going for it here. Who's going to get first? Who's going to get that first TP of the two champions in the bottom lane here? Doesn't look like the damage is going to be enough. That's my worry. The health bars are getting low, Turk.
Yeah, I feel like you can't match the TP either right now. Gunny looking for a bit of a trade right now. It's all about this bot turret. This top side is entirely a jockeying around buying time for that top tier 3. If Mundo's able to get that right there, or this 1v1 comes through, this is really where the whole action of this game is coming through. As you see the rest of the team taking their resets here, they recognize this discrepancy. Might find an angle though, or he could be caught himself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, got to be careful here, but Gunny Thick coming to the rescue. Cyclone blown here. The Blast Cone able to get Discrepancy out of trouble, but the TP comes in from Thor. No, not from Thor. Excuse me, that's Tigsy. Just kidding. Able to get the Keeper's verdict out as well. Man, almost, but I think you recognize, look, the tension, the stakes are so high right now, even though that kill score does not tell the story at all, and you can see it by the way these players are playing.
You can really feel the pressure now, can't you? Like FBC, you can see maybe a little indecisive. Clown Gaming, maybe a little indecisive. Both teams are going back and forth, trading takes, looking for something. Flash for flash.
And Maddie has to flash away, just one level down from Tigsy at the end of the day. Got the last Whisper going as well, which, yeah, no, into the Soraka. Yep, fair enough. But only, it's just 10 less AD for a lot of value that you're going to get out of this Soraka. But no one
needed that too. That's a first heal cut item actually coming through. Oh no, it's not. I apologize. You have the Thornmail coming through from Punky on the Mundo. A lot harder to proc though, so it's nice to see some real, like, well, simple. We'll talk later. Gunny Thick going in here once again.
Man, and again, Days getting the juice from the Soraka to be able to make that Cyclone worth something here. Able to get the Weaver's Wall off. But now it has separated the rest of Capedogs from what should be Soul Point here.
This dragon's gone.
Toll will be going over to Clown Gaming. If you would have told me that 10 minutes ago, I wouldn't have believed you. Tigsy goes forward here. Mega Inferno Bomb goes down, gets a little bit of damage. Trying to 100-0 someone here, but Mockingbird able to flash away and will be found there by Dash Money eventually. Kill traded back by, of course, Gummy Thick, who gets a kill onto Tigsy. And now Capedogs might be in a little bit of trouble here, but Thorn does a good amount of damage here. It's a double for the support. Gunny Thick is willing this team to a victory, a potential comeback anyway, but now Punkerus gets involved and Dash Money will go down. It's an ace almost there. 4 kills on either side. It's a bloodbath in the bottom river.
So strong, man. Like, that's almost criminal. He could easily 1v2, and he could actually see Punky moved away. He threw the cleaver and hit Thorn there, but I don't think he expected the seismic shove to come through because it one-shotted Maddie. I feel like you might have been able to get both, keep that Ezreal alive, but that's just really well played there by Thorn, and that's crucial, because if you don't land that seismic shove, I think you lose a lot of your base right now. So at the end of the day, the consolation prize for Clown, really, because it's a 4 for 4. But if you have Punky still alive, you can still play for these turrets here. So that tier 2 going down, Clown's super happy with that. I mean, on top of the soul, what's not to complain about?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and the more this game goes on, I mean, the scaling's all right on both sides here, but the Ezreal, right? Like you said, I mean, if that seismic shove lands, right, that changes the whole color of this fight. But if Maddie can stay alive and just pump out that damage, he's on 3.5 items right now. He's got the heal cut and a little bit of armor pen to boot as well. If Maddie stays alive, this is a different game. But now, I mean, conversely, right, you don't pick Thorn, right? Thorn doesn't pick the Talia for sustained damage, but with 2 death caps now coming in, right, and the Void Staff almost done here for Dash Money or whatever, magic pet item he's going to get, there's a ton of damage on the other side too.
Yeah, those item breaks are here for both teams at this point. You're sitting on basically a 40-minute game, so gold is almost becoming irrelevant at this point. Really, the only thing left is to get those levels. You still see that level 16 on Mockingbird, so even though he has that tier 3 ult, that's great. You still don't have those extra 2 levels coming through, and control mages are super important with that. We're seeing a huge chunk here already coming through.
Man, Days getting absolutely bodied, but again, actually the wish held by Sirius, and Gunny bit off finally a little bit more than he could shoot. I thought that little Yordle would never die, and now FB Capedogs have first purchase onto the Baron. Sirius still has the wish, but Days
bot side.
No ultimate on the bot side, like you're pointing out. Punky
double TP.
able to get that tier 1. Through. Another TP is coming through here. It's going to be a base race. Baron for Nexus? Question mark?
No way, that's a great read here coming in from Clown Gaming. They're just pushing the pace of this game to stall the backs topside. You can see them playing for this turret. It's so close. They steal the Baron.
Oh my goodness.
They steal the Baron.
Discrepancy. Walk into your trap, take over your trap. They walk in 2v4 and grab the Baron. Turk, they're going to win this game.
They've done it. The Mad Lads have done it.
Wow.
The reverse. Wow, that is amazing. Honestly, kudos to them. That's huge, man. That is huge.
I did not see that coming, man. I mean, it just goes to show, right? The kill score doesn't tell you everything, right? And how you execute your composition is more important than anything. But like you said, Turk, the game came down to 2 or 3 decisions, 2 or 3 moments where Clown Gaming just made the smarter decision, right? They didn't play into what the Capedogs were trying to lay out for them.
Yeah, there's two main deciding factors. So FB Capedogs really accelerated and ahead. They send 2 members bot side. As soon as they do that, the Wukong ends up getting picked. That's the first issue, and that's not where you lose the game at all. Not even close. It's just where you concede tempo. So now at this point, you're not the aggressor. You're not playing on the offensive. You're now playing reactive. As soon as that Baron's taken, the rest of the team's not in response. But the one thing I really want to highlight, and I really do think it's a reason why this game slowed down as much as what it did, is because they didn't have the Jax match the Mundo. They kept having their control mage Talia try to match it there, and when you do that, there's no way that Thorn will ever be able to kill. Punky could just take turrets for free. You can actually walk in front of the wave and take all the Talia damage, blocking any damage from the wave itself. So I think that 1v1, the lane assignments, was really where the game slowed down for Capedogs, but I mean, that's just one factor of it. Like, at the end of the day, like, let's not take away from what Clown Gaming did. Super decisive off, like, what, an 8k gold deficit? And
yeah,
they did it. Like, the Mad Lads did it.
No, there's absolutely no way they should have won that game. But here we are. They are 1-0 for a reason. Then they got punched in the mouth in their series last week. They went down 1-0, but won games 2 and 3 to be able to pull off their own reverse sweep like we saw on the stream last week. And now, all of a sudden, we went from 15 minutes ago looking like, man, could Capedogs, are they going to 1-0? Are they going to 2-0 this? Are they going to 2-1 this? To, hang on a second here, they are 1 game away from this series being over.
Yep, so Capedogs, lots of good things to take away from that. Don't get the mentals in the gutter, because your early game was fantastic. Your mid game was fantastic. It's really two crucial issues at the end of the day, which I already highlighted beforehand. So if you fix those problems, like, I don't see any need for any adaptation. It's just like, do you still have your mental? Like, are you okay? Like, do you need to talk to somebody? Because, like, as a player myself, I can understand. Like, I'd be pretty stressed out after a game like that. So, can you hit that reset button? If you can, that's awesome. Get back on there on the map, because the boys need you now more than ever.
Well, we'll find out what they're made of mentally and otherwise when we come back. Game 2 on the card between Clown Gaming Fiesta and FB Capedogs. Looking to turn this one around. We'll see you right here when we come back.
See you soon.
make yourself remember.
Welcome back, y'all. Game 2 on the cards between Clown Gaming Fiesta and FB Capedogs. It was a banger. It was unexpected in Game 1, Turk. Capedogs pulled, well, they had a fantastic early game, and then Clown Gaming, man, took their 2-0 record, or their 1-0 series record, I should say, and they made it work, man. You see why this team, right? They got punched in the mouth in Game 1 of their series in Week 1. They came back and win that series, and man, what a dub to secure, and what a way to do it. Just really, again, decisive, clinical stuff from Clown Gaming.
Yeah, honestly, it was very well played, you know, just to not give up too, right? You need that tenacity at the end of the day to be able to still hold on, know that there is a chance to win, because honestly, you do the math, like realistically, you're probably going to lose like 98, 99 of those games out of 100. But if you could find those angles, in that instance, there's one small timer where two people showed bot. That's your only timer, and they find it. And how they do it is beyond me, but kudos to them. And as soon as they get that, like, it seems like the rest of the game, they just control it so well, and from such a big deficit too. Like, to me, it's very impressive and quite shocking, honestly.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting here to see how they how the draft shakes out. We didn't see the Jarvan, right? We saw there were some picks we were expecting to kind of come through here that we didn't see. should be no kind of ban losses or any sort of that shenanigans. I do want to see something like the the Yone or the Aurora come in from Capedogs, just to see them kind of get back to their most powerful self. But the reason they were able to run back the same draft, essentially 3 games in a row, was because their opponents in Week 1 didn't have all their bans about them.
Yep, 100%. And I'd like to see the Yone too, and Clown says, nope, we're not going to see that instead, and that's probably pretty smart now. So the question really does become for FBC, like, do you want to pick that Aurora if it's still up for you? Now, it was banned phase 2, it wasn't banned phase 1, so there could be an angle for it. And actually, we're seeing a respect ban coming in here. Looks like it is going to be the Soraka. That's not a ban that I would expect to see, but
That's crazy.
Okay, like, yeah, there you go. I'd be riding the high right there. I'd be feeling pretty good as a support player. It's like, I just drew a Soraka ban. Like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah, that's messed up, man. I mean, like, they lost the game. They didn't even win with that, but that Soraka did a lot of work. I mean, bailing out a couple of early fights there, right? I mean, especially in the mid lane, but taking away that Jax as well. So still leaving the option to grab that Aurora potentially if you wanted that, right? The Jarvan is available, right? And then another kill lane. You could grab yourself Jarvan and your bottom lane in phase 1.
Yeah, and Ashe is also up at this point right now too. And that was banned in Game 1, so maybe Clown, if they want to index, they can obviously take that themselves if they want, or maybe they do have an answer, but instead looks like they go, why fix it if it isn't broken, right? At the end of the day, like, let's just pick the Syndra here. We did really well with it in Game 1. They denied, like, they denied probably 90-95% of waves from that Talia. Like, she couldn't roam at all. There's really no angles for it, and even though she was up like 3-0 at one point in time, like, we did a great job in the Syndra, so I get that. And we are going to, looks like, be the salty run back here for this game too. Like, we're seeing the exact same first 2 picks coming in here.
I mean, yeah, we were kind of talking about at the end of the stream in Game 1, like, what are the emotions like in the chat for Capedogs after letting that lead slip. It's a little bit of Skarner, so it might not be the pure salty run back, but I wouldn't be surprised if you went with something similar and said, no, our game plan was solid, but with the Jax taken away, right, that does leave you with a few, a couple fewer options. But the Camille is in their pocket as well. The Seraphine is still up, so if you want to run some sort of other, enchanter heal bot, that is on the cards as well. Meanwhile, on the other side, for Discrepancy, a hard carry AP jungler. We've seen this one before.
Yeah, we have. It looks like Discrepancy really wants to play around as much resources as he can for himself. So in isolation, that Lilia will do really well into the Skarner. The one issue that I see is going to be that 2v2 mid. Like, to me, I don't see a lot. If that's actually locked in, that to me raises a lot of alarm bells. Like, a lot. So right now it's really difficult for you to force any fights as Clown, and you've also indexed into really heavy AP, mid, and jungle, and now your support, you don't have that engaged support, like, which is what something you traditionally see with a Lilia. So that could be a really problematic phase 1 from Clown, and honestly, they could have a lot of answers that I don't see coming, but that B3 Melio to me probably screams something like Illusion, so expect FBC to be banning that here come this phase 2, and if they don't, I'd be very surprised. The Camille lock-in is going to come through, something you mentioned before too.
Yep, okay, there we go. All right, feel good about that. And Enchanter on the other side in the Melio, like you were saying, and I mean, into a Skarner, I adore that. I think that is absolutely awesome, right? Skarner gets one good alt off, and it's just Jover for you. But if you can hold that Milio, right, can hold that stun a little bit, it's not quite the disengage of the Poppy, because if that Skarner gets that ult off, right, can take such creative angles, being able to go over walls and whatnot, the Milio is just a lot more useful.
Yeah, for sure. In that instance, based off those interactions, for sure it is. For sure. I'm wondering how Clown and how FPC are really going to handle this phase 2 here. We actually don't see that Lucian ban coming through, and 100% I'd be shocked if we don't see that Lucian coming in here from Clown.
Yeah, taking the Ashe away, the Fiora as well, right? We saw that in phase 2, excuse me, of the bans. Last time around, Talia and Taric being run.
We're going to get the Taric and the Talia bans.
Yep. Oh, all right, we're encountering some mild technical difficulties here, but as soon as we get everybody, there we go. All right.
I'm here. Okay, there we go. We're back.
There we go.
We're back, baby. All right.
So it will be the Jarvan. So, this might be support Skarner. I've seen this before. It's kind of sick. If you can pull it off, the support Skarner, it's kind of tight.
Yeah, there's definitely actually a time when he first got released too, where people were playing a lot more Skarner support, and he kind of fallen out of favor as time went on. But I mean, I tend to agree with you here. I think that probably is going to be a Skarner support. Because of course you've got that Camille being locked in the Jarvan. You can almost certainly assume that that's going to be jungle. They played it 3 games last week, so I think it's pretty safe to say that. So on the side of Clown, we're going to see that Shen coming through here. The Shen in isolation tends to do actually decently well into that Camille, so I can understand that. Now it's going to give you some angles where you can really play around your carries here. You have those windows to be able to find that stand united, actually be able to force those fights, and I was wondering to see what we are going to get here. I was wondering if it beat something like a Kog'Maw, but a Kog'Maw seemed really difficult into like a Camille Jarvan, so I ruled that one out. The Lucian I thought was going to be the angle. Lucian Melio is like a stock standard bot lane 2v2, but we're actually going to get the Vayne, so a lot of self-peel, a lot of shred for that front line.
We go Vayne here. Apparently, this is really, really fun. This is very, very spicy. No, and Clown Gaming, I mean, hats off, credit to him, man. This is going to be a lot of fun, like you said, with a lot of shred to deal with the Skarner. But again, if it is a support Skarner, you're not going to have a ton of HP to chew through. But I liked how Punky played game 1 and the way he played the map. And like you were kind of saying, for every kind of good action that Punky had, right, you were, you weren't as stoked about the response to Punky pushing out those lanes, right? You thought it should have been the Jax instead of the Talia. But here you've got again a meat shield to go in front of what is a pretty similar composition apart from the Vayne.
Yeah, honestly it is at the end of the day. And I like these adaptations coming in from both sides here. I mentioned it before in that phase 1, I wasn't a huge fan of the draft that came through there. The phase 2 for me from Clown also raises a couple question marks, but I can see the angles, what they're looking for, and it really is that scaling. So if they're able to continue just to kind of have a more steady paced game for that early to mid, I think that their team comp could really start to come online. The question is FPC able to play as aggressive as what they need to, because their go buttons are so consistent here. They have a Camille ult, obviously that E to be able to gap close. You have the Jarvan, you have the Skarner, even the Ziggs too provide some of that CC and that follow-up damage too. So FPC's team comp seems really easy to execute. Clown Gaming's team comp, that's the one where I'm really worried about. I don't see how you force any fights on the side of Clown besides the exception of maybe a Syndra stun or maybe a Shen flank or something, but to me it seems very difficult. I'm almost grasping at straws for that. So
yeah, I mean, I think you almost want him to play into you, right? I think if you can manage, look, you've got speed, you've got a good scatter the weak, right? You've got Milio ult, and you've got, like you said, self peel from the Vayne, and one good stand united, right? Just buy you just a little bit of time to get out of that initial dive, that initial burst, because like you said, if you get locked up by this FBC comp, you could get 100-0 so fast it'll make your head spin. It's support Jarvan.
it is. So that's gonna be Airy Jarvan for sure. You max the flag. That is that's something I haven't seen in a long time. That was actually really popular.
This is wild. I mean, I remember like lethality Jarvan, like this kind of all in, really like just burst you down kill lane Jarvan. But that was last I saw. That was a long time ago.
Well, I mean, there's different variations to it, but the one that I'm anticipating is going to be that area. It's going to be that Emax, and usually what you'd see is you build like AP. So now I'm not so sure. Zhonya's is usually on the table though, either first or second for that AP Jarvan. If that's going to be the case, it might not. It might just be a more lethality-esque, like maybe Hail of Blades or something like that. But yeah, I haven't seen that pick in a long time, but there was a time where LCK, especially in solo queue, the supports were picking that a lot. Like Beryl comes to mind. Beryl was picking that champion. Yeah, he was picking that champion a ton, and he really is kind of like that pioneer of those off-meta picks. Obviously, that Heimerdinger is one that he started a couple worlds ago or whenever that was. So, like that man could see some things, and maybe Sirius can too. I hope so.
I really hope so. I hope they can make this work. I mean, because then we would also get a game 3. But if you're getting waxed by Beryl's support Jarvan, that he cooked up with one hand while playing Genshin with the other, I mean, that's beautiful, beautiful stuff. But the identity of this comp, though, is still right. It's go forward, it's dive, and Cloud Gaming, I think they actually have a comp that can play decently into it. Let's talk a little bit more about how they want to do things, because even like Discrepancy, right? They're running essentially a similar sort of mid jungle, right? You've got a mobile carry oriented, jungler with Mockingbird there, who's able to get some okay prio and actually got Discrepancy a couple kills ahead here, but the rest of the map fell apart in a big way for Cloud Gaming. Now it all worked out because they were able to win with better map movements, with being more decisive, playing the map better. Do you think that game plan kind of, I mean, basically, how do Cloud Gaming make it a lot less painful than they did in game 1?
The first thing you want to take a look at, the question that I always ask myself is in isolation, what lanes win? So Shen early is going to do okay into Camille. You're going to be fine there. The Syndra early is going to have the prio on the Akali, but as time goes on, that Syndra is going to become very homeless very quickly. So I think you really need to play around getting your bot lane out of that lane as much as you can, play around them, because I think you need your Vayne to get ahead. And you need your Cinder to at least go even early on, but I think it's going to be through your Vayne, because I'm trying to see how this team comp actually functions. And if I can be honest with you, I'm not so sure. I don't see a lot of cohesion with it. So I think you need your Vayne, your late game assurance to get ahead, because you have that Shen and you can play really well off that. Now, the only issue that I see with this from Cloud Gaming's team comp is they do have pretty good counter engage. Just FB Capedogs, they have such easy to execute CC and fights, and they can pull trigger whenever they want on their own terms. So if Cloud Gaming can recognize that, they can play the re-engage exceptionally well, like the counter engage, then I think they're going to have windows all day long. It's just whether or not Capedogs actually overextends in the process. So I don't actually see the real win con as a unit, but individually those champions could do very well. Really well in their respective matchups. So it'll be interesting. I think you got to win lane. Maybe that's the answer. You got to win lane.
If you win lane, you open it up for the Lilia and Discrepancy to be able to really get going early, right? That Lilia can just print damage if she gets going. She's an absolute menace to deal with. But I hear your point, especially about the team fights, right? If you can play those team fights patiently, allow them to come into you, right? Like you said, maybe bite off a little more than they could chew. Then you get one condemned into a, even a Jarvan wall. Like, right, God forbid you get condemned in your own wall, then maybe you could do something there. We're going to take it to a quick break. When we come back, game 2 between Cloud Gaming and FB Capedogs. We'll see you there.
See you soon.
Game 2 rocking and rolling in the best of 3 between Cloud Gaming and Cloud Gaming Fiesta, I should say, a couple of teams in the Aegis ecosystem, and FB Capedogs. I'm 4x4, that is Turk. We're the Chemtech Division, week 2 of Aegis Executioner League action. We're happy you're here with us. Interesting compositions, well, composition 1, I should say, for Cloud Gaming. But look, they had a much easier to execute composition in game 1. It didn't go at all how I thought it would, but some things are still true. You win lane, if your solo lanes do all right, you've got a hard carry jungler. The vision is there.
Yeah. 100% it is. And for those who are watching too, just something very important to point out, we do actually have a bug right now in the spectator client where you can't see the portraits. So right now you can see this alternate screen here, and we will be using this periodically throughout the game just so you can keep an eye on some of those summoner spells. But unfortunately right now, just Riot coding or whatever might have been the way for it, but unfortunately we won't be able to see those summoner spells, the runes, etc. But we will do the best that we can. So of course, just to go very quickly before the game does begin, as it is a pretty stock standard 5e, like just a 5-point right now. You do the Shen, Lilia, the Syndra, the Vayne, and the Melio, and then of course on the opposite side you're going to get that Camille, Skarner, Akali, Ziggs, and that Jarvan support, which you and I were both very hyped about.
Yeah, with the flash exhaust going into the Vayne, yeah, that's fair enough. And the other side taking the barrier heal. So very much conscious of the ability to get all in. Got about a moment's notice. But Thorn, you're going to be taken into this melee into ranged matchup as well. How do you see this going here? Because we talked about it right for the Talia. You want to get out of lane and impact the map. Akali kind of wants to do that too. At level 6, you can go for that all-in. But I'm really excited to see Thorn be able to pilot kind of 2 different styles of champion.
Yeah, 100%. I think the question is really going to become whether or not Mockingbird can start to get the priority in this lane by about that level 3. And if you can, if the Akali's chunked to the point where she actually can't sort of trade in on you, because those basic abilities for Akali, even though it doesn't mean that you'll be able to find that 1v1, it means that you can CS pretty comfortably. And if you're able to at least manage yourself within, like, I don't know, a wave, maybe 2 waves worth of CS difference, you're doing really good in that Akali matchup, because at the end of the day, it's not about the lane, it's about the side lanes. It's after your mid lane turret goes down, or as soon as you're able to rotate, because once you do, it's really difficult for Syndra to be able to match. Very difficult. And that's where actually at that point the Syndra's forced to group up, and that's where a lot of magic can happen for FBC.
And that's what they're going to try to make happen here, because like you said, the ability to match it, and Akali and a Camille, right? Because that's kind of the 2 things here that they're going to try to do better than they did in game 1, is play those side lanes, get those more stable lane assignments here. You've got a damage type and an ability to absolutely run the map from kind of the 18-minute mark on with both of these champions, and Cloud are going to be put into some very interesting positions, I think.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So we'll see. Just a pretty stock standard early game here. Both junglers are just full clearing from bot towards top side. So maybe a little bit of action on this top wave here, potentially, but don't be surprised to see a little bit of contest here for this top side scuttle, and then both junglers just kind of back off as they accept the game state itself right now. And you can already see that Camille has built up quite a bit of this wave here, so it's going to be really difficult for them to be able to freeze this. And of course you see that Skarner hovering to make sure that they can crash. Of course you see that Lily to make sure that they can't dive. So beautiful trade coming in here from Daze.
Yeah, Daze able to shove Punkyverse into a wall, gets under his shield, able to dash over the wall, but guess who can also go over a wall? It's Tigsy, and forces the flash out of the Shen. Very nicely done, as Capedogs able to get a little bit of purchase into this top lane.
Yeah, both junglers in the right place at the right time. Just one executes that much quicker. And of course, you're going to see that Skarner pulling trigger, and that's going to force a lot of pressure there coming down from the side of Cloud Gaming. And how you react to that's very difficult. Lots of trading coming in here.
Yeah, Sirius for Y might be able to get the all in here, but a fantastic condemn might have turned the fight.
Wow.
GG, first blood over to Cloud Gaming.
That is insane. Maddie's still looking for more. He's going to get a double.
And they're not done just yet. Man, oh man, that is a disastrous scenario into what should have been a safe lane with this Ziggs. Bit off a little more than he could chew. Did the Jarvan. And man, and took the call as well, right? Very ready to have a bit of a snoozer early game. And what do you know? You run into 2 kills.
Yep, you sure do. 2 kills with that call. Like, that is That is exactly what you want to see for Clown Gaming, and of course Capedogs, it's the exact opposite. At this point, by no means are you out at all, so just focus on what you need to do on the Ziggs. Is just clear waves, get that Jarvan to roam out on the rest of the map, and look to try to impact things. And if you're able to, then as this game progresses, those side lanes are really where you're going to find those angles, playing off that Akali, playing off that Camille. So still lots of win cons, but we don't want to see too many of those sequences happening there for sure from FPC. And that's a good read on that Lily gank. Now, I do want to mention very quickly, if we can actually, I have a bit of a theory crafting here. This is actually not related to the game itself, but I think we might actually not be able to see the portraits, because if we get a chance, there's an option for blue and red frames, and I just want to mention that real quick. If we could take a look at that, tick those. Okay, there we go. So okay, so that's what I thought. Okay, so I thought it was a bug, and then as soon as I saw that menu, I was like, I think that's the problem. So okay, good. I'm glad we fixed it. That was on my mind. I had to get it off, and good. I'm glad. We're back, baby. We're back.
Absolute king stuff from Turk. Absolutely awesome. Saving the day here. Makes my life a lot easier. You know what? I really realized just how much I rely on that as a play-by-play, right? Being able to see the flashes, see the TPs, right? An ability goes out on a skin I don't recognize. I'm like, I think that was the ult, right? And if the little circle isn't there, I'm in trouble.
I know, it's so hard. It makes it so difficult. You're right. It is so difficult to read. And actually, you do see the Aerie coming through with that Jarvan, so I was curious.
Yep.
That was another reason why I was like, I have to know. I have to know, because I didn't notice it in the trades beforehand that he took it. So that's awesome. I love to see it. It'll be really interesting to see how it pilots for the rest of this game here. But that's exactly what you need to see on Series 4 Wide with this Jarvan, right? That's getting out of that lane. You don't want to be playing to that lane any more than what you need to be. Accelerate the rest of the map. If you can, play for cross maps, and that's a good response there from FBC.
Yeah, opt out. Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, Zig should be able to keep himself safe. He's got flash, a TP to be able to get back once that does obviously come back up. But I mean, Jarvan's a jungler for a reason, right? If you can get out there and make an impact, that's how you can claw your way back into this game. But you need to trust Dash Money to keep himself safe. Ishtal's impact going over the wall here. Thorn able to get, looking for the all-in here. Flashes over the juggling aggro kind of nicely here. But Mockingbird goes for the all-in on the Thorn, and he'll take Dave down as well. Punkyver's coming down. It's a double, kind of, as the tower does get one. But Discrepancy able to get the dragon on the back end of it.
Overzealous that it's so close. The only issue is Daze on the Skarner doesn't have its ult. They do such a good job of burning that flash on Mockingbird. The follow-up with that R, if it was there for Skarner, it's free, but it's just an overextension at the end of the day. They don't factor in that Shen stand united, and it's beautifully timed from Punky too. It's just enough to draw them into the turret, and unfortunately, or fortunately for either side, depending on who you ask, there's one execute that comes through there, and of course that kill coming through too. So Shen does get that, and that's off the back of a really good reactionary play from Clown Gaming, which is something I wasn't sure that I'd be saying in this game too.
No, but look, but it is, like you said, it is Capedogs kind of calling the shots, and it's Clown Gaming reacting very well, right? And that was kind of my theory for, look, and yours as well, like, how do Clown Gaming want to pilot these team compositions? Because cohesively, you don't really see kind of what the vision is, but you have a ton of disengaged tools, and you've got a lot of mobility as well, right? You've got the ability to extend fights and kind of turn them into favorable outcomes. And I feel like you're kind of seeing a microcosm of that as this game has gone on.
Yeah, you are. It really is. Like, it takes a lot of the agency that you might have as a team when you have those go buttons, but if you can respond appropriately and you're in the right place at the right time, the enemy team happens to overextend, you have those tools to be able to make the magic happen, and they do a really good job there, and hopefully they can continue to do that too. And you can see this 1v1 right now. Mockingbird, he's going to continue to have this priority on the Sakali here for sure, probably for the next 5 to 10 minutes, but once again, it's crucial right now. Thorn just needs to focus on getting out of this lane. Series 4 needs to be careful with no E, and you can see that extended trade with that Vayne Melio just chunking so much.
Oh. And it's only going to get scarier, brother. You got that pocket Melio as well. I mean, just making that much deadlier. This is going to be really, really rough. And like you said, Sirius, I mean, the way he manages this lane is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to go a long way, I think, determining how this early game is going to go. We saw Clown come back from an 8,000 gold deficit in game one. Just imagine what they could do with a lead here. And the scaling, I think it's fair to say, is... yeah, I think it's kind of on their side. They got enchanters, they got globals, they got a Vayne, for crying out loud. As this game goes on, I favor Cloud Gaming.
Honestly, I do too. In the 5v5, 100%. It's the side lanes for FBC, so if they can play around those side lanes really well, You can see that Camille, as time goes on, she's going to be able to trade quite well into the Shen. Early on, Shen does have that priority, but as this game continues to go, of course, you do have the TP and Ignite on Tiggsy, so he wants to fight. He wants to find those angles. You're going to have those windows. They're going to start to appear, so side lanes are the key for FBC. Can they play well around them? And if the answer is yes, you're going to see this game accelerate very quickly, probably right around the 1 to 2 item spike, and it's going to be based off those solos. So keep an eye on the solos, keep an eye on their items. When they have their item spikes in those side lanes, can FBC's team comp really start to come online?
It's going to have to, right? And you haven't gotten that accelerated just yet. But Daze can find kills in a hurry, and so far it's been a little negated, right? An overzealous attempt there right before he hit level 6, didn't have the impale to get what should have been a free kill and accelerate Thorn, who could be an absolute menace, can 100-0 pretty much anybody except Punkurus, which might be a battle that we see in the side lanes again, depending on who they send over. But it is FBC with the agency. A Serious for Y going in with the flash ultimate. Didn't even bother with the flag and drag, but he gets condemned into his own wall. I'm not going to say I called it, but I'm not going to deny that either. Daze goes over. He missed the impale. Maddie broke his ankles. Shattered. Doctor, please.
Oh, it looked so good for a second until you realize that Thorn didn't have his ultimate. The damage just wasn't there from Serious for Y, and they try to force something, and maybe it's close, but yeah, that condemn into the own J4 ult, like, it feels a little bad, doesn't it? And Maddie, he's 3-0 right now, 300 gold bounty, 106 CS. They're gonna net these fight grubs. Game state is amazing for Clown.
Yeah, you couldn't have dreamed for a better start, honestly. This is feeling really, really good. I mean, I think the only thing you might have thought differently was that Discrepancy was going to be getting involved, but he's been just controlling all the neutral camps, right? Yes, the first 3 grubs did get away from him, but you've got the 3 consecutive void grubs, you got the first dragon of the game. You are perfectly happy with your 0-0-0 because the rest of the map is playing phenomenally. 3-0 on Maddie on this vein. And again, we talked about it before the series started. This is how Clown Gaming want to play, right? Discrepancy is a facilitator, and it's gone a little bit off script considering they picked the Belveth and the Lilia. And with the Belveth, you got the early action. It didn't translate into anything in the late game, although you did pull a rabbit out of a hat. Here, Discrepancy has gotten no real resources as far as kills to speak of, but Maddie is an ever-present carry threat.
That's exactly, yeah, week 1 carries into week 2 here for sure for the Clown Gaming bot side. And 3-0, you got that Blade of the Rune King, 12 and a half minutes timer, like, things are looking great. You still have this call coming up here too. 8 kills remaining, so basically a wave at this point right now. You're going to cash that in. You're sitting at 5.3k, so nearly 1.2, 1.3k ahead of the opposite laner there, so you're really happy right now. And more importantly, we've talked about it before, the scaling 100% is going to be on your side. That 5v5, you have those angles. Discrepancy needs to be a little careful, as does Daze. The jockeying for this dragon continues here, but Clown Gaming does have inside track to this river right now. Mockingbird could be in some trouble there, bot. You could see multiple split calls here coming through. We have 3 members for Clown Gaming on this dragon, and FBC, it doesn't look like they're in a position to contest.
No, and it's a shame because they have every single ultimate up, right? We talked about it. Some of these fights that FBC have lost have been on these very slim margins. Oh, Daze didn't have his ultimate. Thorn didn't have his ultimate. Yep. But they had every single go button there and just didn't have the vision to decide which angle they wanted to tackle, right? And to be fair, Clown Gaming, like, some of that's on FBC, sure, but Clown Gaming, they set up for that fantastically, and they had the right members in the right places, kind of bodyguarding, body blocking the different entry points.
Yeah, that's right. And once they gained access to that river, they did a great job at holding the enemy off at the chokes. They don't allow them to get back into the river, and as soon as you do that, when the team has to force into a choke, they clump up, AoE can hit, it makes it really difficult to try to retake. So by getting to that river first, you get that setup that nets you that second dragon, which is all of the neutrals in this game, sitting at 4-0. Like, things are going exactly how you want for Clown Gaming here, as this Rift Herald is now starting to spawn. So 14 minutes, every neutral's gone to Clown Gaming right now. FBC, can they get something out on the map? I really want to see this J4 Serious for Y roam right now, and you can see him moving right now. Hopefully we do see a fight for this Rift Herald coming in from FBC, because you need something. You need something going your way.
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of it has to come from the jungle support, right? You've got to get these side laners going here, because the other two, their opposite numbers, Mockingbirds and Punkurus, are doing a fantastic job at soaking up pressure, right? So has to be on Days and company. Oh, Mockingbird looking for a big old flank here, but Maddie looking for a solo bolo here. I think he's going to get it onto Dash Money. Satchel Charge gets absolutely nothing, and Pale lands on a discrepancy, but a big breath of life buys some time, but not quite enough. Finally, a kill goes over to Thorn, but the solo bolo in the bottom lane means Maddie is 4-0. Excuse me, Series for why. Able to get the flag and drag in, but all it spells is his own doom. Punkurus will go down, but not before he picks up another one. Mockingbird gets his first kill of the game. It's 7-2. Oh, and by the way, Maddie he's free farming on this bottom tower.
Free farming. Maddie gets that kill in that side lane. He actually swings around through Tribush, which is pink, so he knows there's no vision there. And Dash Money wants that turret so badly. That's first brick. That's a lot of gold that gets injected into the Ziggs, but he overstays too long. And in response, Maddie just swings around, gets that kill. That's great. And then you see that fight break out topside where another member, excuse me, of Clown goes down there. So FPC doing pretty good job at playing around Maddie, actually. Like, at the end of the day, it's not ideal that you give away that one kill by Dash Money going down there, but at least you get something in the top side on the cross map there. We get Thorn a kill. That's exactly what you want to see. You get Tigsy a kill too, so 2 for 1 in that instance. It's not too bad. Not too bad.
No, but but now and I guess this is the good and the bad part of it, right? The bad part is the Vayne is accelerated 4-0. The good part is, well, you kind of know who you need to kill. But again, I think, again, just if you're fighting into this composition, you talk about the choke points, I think you hit the nail right on the head. If Cloud Gaming are first to any sort of objective and they set it up right, talk about, a Scatter the Weak, a Condemn, a Milio bouncy ball, a Lilia bouncy ball. Those are so easy to hit, and they can just swing a team fight. Just 100-0. And look at what Mockingbird is doing to Dash Money here. I think he's going to survive this. I just don't think Dash Money has the damage. Well, if Thorn comes in, well, okay, we might have something a little bit different. We have the Seraph Shield. It's not quite enough. Mockingbird going to try to buy a little bit of time here, but Thorn should be able. Oh my goodness, did he just do? Oh, that was almost a phenomenal outplay by Mockingbird, but Thorn does get the. Well, no, he didn't get the kill. Someone else got the kill. I think it was Dash Money there, but either way, able to survive that one. But Maddie getting another turret. When the gold league was up, or when the gold was up here, when our producer Karthik, shout out to him as well, pulled up the gold lead, bro, it was almost.
Look at that.
That's like, and it was worse before. It was worse before. It was 3,000 gold just on Maddie, the difference. And right here with the Blade of the Ruined King, he is absolutely unstoppable. Misses the Impale again. Couple of unfortunate ults for days as Maddie is just dancing around this FB Capedogs composition here. Thorn has showed up, but is it enough? Able to get the R1. It has the perfect execution on the way back. Doesn't get by the target. Maddie is still alive. And if Maddie's alive, there is no way in hell Cloud Gaming are going to lose a team fight.
Oh, the EQ almost comes from Sirius, but he ends up whiffing it there. Thorn could get chased down here on this overextension. Lots of trading, lots of fighting. Maddie, look at Maddie!
Just goes forward on everybody, and it's an ace. That's the ball game. That is just such a backbreaker. 8-0 for Maddie on this Vayne. Absolutely running through this game.
4x4 asked me before this game started how Clown Gaming was going to win, and I did not have a very good answer. Well, now I think I do.
Man, oh man.
Maddie is my final answer. 8-0 right now. This is nice from Tigsy. We're gonna get that kill with the Ignite. That's huge. Can he get 2 here?
Yeah,
Looks like the damage is...
Yeah, maybe. Get another hook shot in. Yeah, exactly. If that hook shot's back up cooldown, there you go. But another dragon will be going over. It is just the Cloud Soul, so not to, at least I think it's a Cloud Soul. So it shouldn't be anything too crazy here. Days trying to save the day here, able to get the Ignite off, but a fantastic Condemn, able to push him away. I heard there was a Scatter either way. He swiped it away. Got the smite off, so Days actually able to save the dragon and delay soul point. And Maddie will actually pay for it with his life. A fantastic pick. Taking a page out of Clown Gaming's book here. Come into your jungle and steal your objective. Gummy Thick probably will go down here. Just kidding. He's going to get away. Finally, an Impale lands here, but Days will not pay for it with his life. Good enough damage there to take down Mockingbird.
The Bloodhounds are on the scent right now. They can't figure out where Gunny Thick is, and that's a cheeky little recall spot. He's going to be able to get away. That's enough. That salvages somewhat of that play, but at the end of the day, you still lose the dragon. You still let Maddie go down. That's 1,000 gold that gets injected right into Thorn, and at this point right now, we are into those side lanes. So the objective bounties are up. That's pretty indicative of the actual game state right now. You're sitting at 4K behind an FPC, but this is where your team comp starts to accelerate now. So Yes, you're down 4k, but you have plenty of angles. Even Vayne in a side lane can be collapsed on and actually killed. The Akali has a potential killer. Pretty unlikely, but it's still there. The Camille also has that too. Now, Maddie could easily outplay, don't get me wrong, but it makes you wonder. There's plenty of options here for FBC for sure.
Yeah, you saw the vision, right? But right now is you got to take fights on uneven terms. But as the game goes on, we talked about it at the beginning of the game, Tigsy and Thorn, two monstrous potentially side lane threats, and now they've got some gold in their pockets, and now they're able to match anybody here, whereas it was beforehand they were just kind of floundering, right? Sirius for a while was trying to get things going on all sides of the map, but now you've got something special here, and now we get into this chess match, right? The lane assignments, the things that doomed eventually FB Capedogs in game 1. Now Tigsy, you saw him, he's able to take on Punkiris. Great, he actually got a 2v1'd almost in that top lane, and Thorn has a ton of damage in his kit. Once that Lich Bane comes through, it's only going to get scarier.
And you can see Tigsy looking for something. Punky does use his dash here.
Well done by Daze, able to slam Punky into a wall here. Blow the last breath, did Gunny thick, but Thorn, just TP'd into his own doom, able to get away with the Proto Belt. If he can get the Lilting Lullaby off, Mockingbird says it's not going to be necessary. Punky was able to get the CC down to set up another kill for Maddie, make it 9-1 for him. Mega Inferno Bomb gets nobody. Discrepancy, able to clean it up on the back end. I thought it looked like another good fight there for FB Capedogs here, but at the end of the day, just 3 more kills for Cloud Gaming and a Baron.
Yeah, it started off really well actually for FB Capedogs, like you mentioned there. It looked like there was a chance that the Shen could be picked, but unfortunately that TP coming through in the tri-bush from Thorn there, he ends up getting picked off in the process, and they don't even have to spend too many resources to be able to do that. So at the end of the day, you're going to see 3 members going down. Once one falls, they all do, and that's going to be the Baron setup now. So Clown Gaming looking really good here and poised to take this game too.
Looking like another 2-0 for Clown Gaming, or at least that's the way it's trending, but we have seen bigger leads flipped before. Heck, we just saw it about an hour ago as Clown Gaming took game 1 in comeback fashion. I mean, just stunned FB Capedogs, and now they're staring up quite the mountain here as Maddie's on 3 items. Thorn just got his second. That is the kind of universe that we are living in here. And credit to the rest of the team composition, right? The rest of the team for Capedogs. They've, stayed relatively even in farm. Some of the decisions they're making, you see the vision there, but just little mistakes here and there. Not having a key ultimate, not having, correct vision as Thorn essentially TP'd into his doom. But you see how much damage they can put out if they get a fight on uneven terms. They're able to set those up as well. But it's going to take a couple mistakes from Clown Gaming right now. I think that's how I see it. I think Clown Gaming are going to have to beat themselves.
I think you're 100% right. At this point right now, it almost seems like there isn't a fight that you can't take. So looks like we're going to see something here. This 1v2 coming through. But of course, you do have to stand united to answer.
And Mockingbird going for the all in there, got it onto Thorn. Another missed impale there from Daze. Mockingbird dancing around him as Discrepancy and Gunny Thick come in. The rest of the cavalry is here, and that means another kill for Discrepancy. Another 2 kills, little by little, going over to Clown Gaming Fiesta.
Tigsy taking this trade 1v1. He's starting to really win out at this point. That true damage just absolutely shining, and Punky, he has to be scared. He's going to go down. Beautiful
that
flash.
Shield to go off, very nice flash though, but here comes the Baron up, a juiced up Baron up cannon wave. That's going to rip through that bot lane tier 3 in no time flat. They've got nothing they can do to respond with 2 members down. All they can do is watch their base crumble right now, Turk.
Yeah, with Punky surviving, he still has that teleport, so he can burn that right now, get back out on the map, and continue to pressure as this dragon spawns in 20 seconds. Could be an overextension here from Clown. Need to be careful.
I was going to say, that Scat of the Week misses, and now you're in a little bit of trouble here, but the Lilting Lullaby is going to land. It'll buy Maddie some time to get in. Pops the ultimate, condemns him right into a wall, but now he's trapped in the Hextech ultimatum here. Might have bitten off more than he could chew, but the flash away as his teammates buy him some time. Discrepancy goes forward, tries to get the Dream Dust on everybody else. Make it 2 kills for Punkiris, coming in with a big dash, the ultimate was not used, excuse me, but able to get into the fight and make things happen and buy Maddie 2 more kills. This might be the ball game here. Are the respawn timers long enough?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
I think it is. They have the wave right now here. Dash Money does have the wave clear, but you can see Punky doing a great job of zoning the rest of the team out. Whoa.
That was a cheeky little satchel charge there, but I think, again, it still will be enough here. Thorn and Sirius are showing up in about 3 to 5 seconds here. but a big TP. They're putting their foot on the gas here. Turk Mockingbird does not want to play a game 3. Mockingbird wants to go to bed. Sirius getting into the back line here. Mockingbird able to get the kill on the Dash Money here. Thorn under his shroud gets one. Thorn gets another. At least he's looking for it. A couple more autos will do it. Come on, Gunny. Milio autos. Is that going to be the difference in this one? Can they take him down in time yet? They save it from a disastrous outcome. The Nexus survives by the skin of its teeth. You know what? Respect to Clown Gaming with that big of a lead. Even with it going sideways, you've left an exposed Nexus with 100 health and 11,000 gold.
Oh, if you're a player in this series, you're going to be going gray really early. But if you're a caster or a viewer, you're loving it.
Yep.
It is
entertainment,
awesome.
man. In a
Great.
blowout, we are getting our money's worth.
Oh, 100%. I'm so surprised it didn't close that out. That's literally one auto. Discrepancy is around, so I mean, playing for this dragon, it makes sense. This is your timer, but Discrepancy, he can walk right in here. He can steal. Now, Tigsy has anything to say.
Yeah, here's the Stand United actually used here to try to get Discrepancy in and maybe try to get something back on this fight. Lullaby goes down. The Dragon is taken. Thorn showing up here. And did Clown Gaming overextend here? The rest of their team is going to take them a little bit. But how about Punk here is buying so much time? And now Maddie has shown up. If he pops the ultimate, they've got something to be worried about here. Discrepancy able to go over the wall here, extending the ultimate, extending his auto range. Thorn buys the time with the stopwatch, but it's not enough. Maddie able to get there, and that should finally do it.
It's done and dusted, mister. 4 wide, we're gonna get the 2-0 from Clown, and that is... I did not expect that at all. You look at game 1 and you're dead convinced that that's gonna be 1-0 FPC, and they reversed that, and then in this game 2, they look so dominant off a team comp that I didn't think had much agency, and honestly, I'm happy to be wrong. Like, I'm glad that the players proved me wrong, and kudos to them, they played awesome, but I mean, let's not dance around it, right? Like, that MVP, Matty, like, that guy popped off, so... Week 1, unreal. Week 2, even better.
What a performance, man. I mean, just phenomenal. I mean, and like we were saying, right, what did go well for FB Capedogs in game 1? It was the early game, right? It was solo laners playing very well, getting slight advantages. Thorn on the Talia was all over the place. They looked really, really sharp. And here, it did not go that way at all, right? It started from a really doomed level 2 or 3 play in the bottom lane from Shiba and Sirius, or Dash Money / Shiba. We'll pick a name eventually. But Maddie, man, I mean, like once a Vayne gets going, man, the rest of the game just became so easy to play.
Yeah, it seemed really difficult. As soon as that double kill came through for Maddie there, that 2v2 feels really hard to play. So now you're pretty much forced to index away from the Ziggs, which is what you wanted to do beforehand. The only problem is that now this Vayne's that much more accelerated. Then a couple skirmishes happen. All of a sudden, Maddie becomes 3-0, finds pick bot side, and that 1v1. Now he's 4-0, and before you know it, 8-0, and when the team plays around Maddie, it seems like Clown Gaming Fiesta is very difficult to deal with, and rightfully so. I mean, the Vayne was a pick I didn't anticipate, but with all that self-peel that you have, you really can 1v1 anybody, especially if you are that accelerated, and Clown Gaming did a really good job reacting to the aggression that Capedogs had early on. Capedogs had a bit of disjointment, I guess you could say, and you highlighted a couple times some of the angles that they were looking for. They didn't have the ultimates, for example, on Thorn with the Akali there when we're looking mid with that J4 ult, so a little disjointed there. I think the team comp that they drafted was really good. I liked it, but the execution just wasn't there, and in Clown Gaming it most certainly was.
Yeah, and for FP Capedogs, like you said, you see the pathway forward, you see the success, you see the road to success, right? And you said they have the sauce, whatever you want to call it, to be a playoff team, right? To be a top half team in this division. But for Maddie, man, I mean, he's pretty quickly putting forward a case here, right? 4-0 across 4 games, right? His team hasn't dropped anything, and make that 4 wins on 4 unique champions. Had the Kaisa in game 1, the Lucian Milio in game 2, and then now the Ezreal, and now the Vayne. So 4 different picks and 4 pretty different styles of champion as well. A couple of kind of 2 or 3 different styles, right? But point is, he could do it on a couple of different picks, and he's been kind of getting the advantages himself. That was one thing also that I noticed, right? Was that there wasn't a lot of jungle attention paid to him. It was almost like they're playing 2 separate games.
Yeah, it's funny because you're right. So in response, looking forward, it's like in weeks as they progress, right, you're going to have to figure out how you want to deal with the bot lane of Clown Gaming Fiesta. So in this instance, we saw Capedogs draft the Ziggs both games. To me, that's weak side. So let's play away from the ADC. But if the ADC can still find those angles to get ahead like what Maddie does in that isolation, right? That's where it becomes difficult. So now you ask yourself, right, for the next team that goes against Clown Gaming, how do they want to deal with it? Do they want a weak side, try to play more aggressively through their solos? Because FB Capedogs did a great job game 1. But if you can't win like that, then you need to match that 2v2. And how well are you able to pilot those champions? We saw multiple bans coming through, especially with that Nami. Like that Lucian Nami was not an option. Not an option at all. So do you elect to put more bans into Maddie? Do you have a plan moving forwards? It's just a question that you might want to ask yourself as you look to face up against Clown Gaming.
Yeah, and if not you, the rest of the Executioner League is certainly going to have that on their hands, right? If you can't win against the Kaisa Revolution, Nami kind of taking that away, Ezreal, and then the Vayne into a very safe lane, like you said, it's like you run through the deck of cards and you go, oh shoot, I have no response here. There is no skip. There is no wild draw 4. I've got nothing here. I'm in some trouble here. So GG's to Clown Gaming, but again, big ups to FB Capedogs. Played some parts of their game really, really well, and again, didn't lose these early skirmishes by much. It was just one thing here, one ultimate there, not by much. But Clown Gaming, the superior team over the best of 3, and deserving winners as they move it to 2-0. And FB Capedogs, despite some valiant performances, down to 0-2 early on in the AEL season. Turk, any final thoughts before we let the good people get on with their Thursday nights?
Well, once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to the players, of course, the coaches, everybody else who's involved with that. Of course, our production. Like Karthik, thank you very much, man. It was a pleasure to be able to do all that. So I just want to say thanks. It's always great to be able to be here. 4Y, it's a pleasure to be able to cast with you too, man. So I had a lot of fun with this, and I look forward to plenty more weeks coming up.
Likewise, we'll be back here same time, same place next week. Again, thank you to everyone that Turk mentioned. For everyone that Turk did mention, I've been 4Y4. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you back here next week.
See you soon.